Hello everyone. Hello. This year is dedicated to Ili Nishmas, Rachaleya, Bas, Reb Chaim Tzvi. So we are coming towards the end of klal zayin in the Sefer Chafetz Chaim, and we're going to start from Seif Yud. Seif Yud discusses the topic called Dvarim Hanikarim. In English we'd say recognizable signs, or different types of circumstantial evidence. Does that play a role when it comes to being Makabel Lashon Hara? So let's see. Seif Yud. The Chafetz Chaim says, V'im yesh alav dvarim hanikarim, shenira al yedei zeh shema shemesaprim olav hu emes. There are recognizable signs that it sounds true. Dina hachi. Im yesh b'inyan hazeh, afilu im hadavar emes, l'shavto l'tzad zchus, o binyanei shlilas hamalas o b'chol shar pratim avarim le'el, lo shach zeh dvarim hanikarim. If there is a way to be danu kaf zchus, then even with dvarim hanikarim, recognizable signs, it doesn't matter, because even if, because of these dvarim hanikarim, you think what you heard was true, you still have to be danu kaf zchus despite that, if there's a way to be danu kaf zchus. Tivadai an muchyavim laduno kaf zchus kemet shuish beinoni. That we saw above. Avalim hu davar asher ein limtso tzad zchus al haoshko mutar haminu l'kabel. Fundamentally, the Chafetz Chaim says, we hold that if there are dvarim hanikarim, one is allowed to believe the Lashon Hara. Again, assuming there's no Donald Kaf Zchus here. So the Chafetz Chaim writes that basically, we'll see from the Sugya Be'ez Hashem in a few minutes, that we accept the idea that with dvarim hanikarim, one can be makabel the Lashon Hara. Now, the Chafetz Chaim writes in a footnote, there's a little asterisk comment here, Ubekol zo svichin zoher ma'od. You have to be very careful. V'lachkor b'sheva hakiros, and investigate many times. Even if it's be'emes dvarim hanikarim, if it's really dvarim hanikarim. Ki ha'yetzer mates adam, the Yetzer Hara tries to trick us. B'zeh ma'od umar lo kama dvarim hanikarim shem emes k'dei she'amin b'zeh v'yukudenu aydei zeh b'reshes. So lava kabbal's Lashon Hara. Ve'al kain al yemaher l'hakel b'zeh. The Yetzer Hara tries to trick us and convince us that there are all these different signs, circumstantial evidence, and he's trying to get us ensnared in violating Lashon Hara. So be very careful before you rely on this heter, the Chafetz Chaim says. Be very careful. So fundamentally it's mutar, but you have to be very careful to know exactly what dvarim hanikarim are. So just to give an example of this, where it might come up, so the wonderful Sefer, the daily companion, so they give the following example. Let's say there's a case of toelis, of a constructive purpose. An example would be where a father has a strong basis to suspect that the bad reports concerning his son's friend are true. So you're a parent, and you're hearing things about one of your son's friends or acquaintances, and along with what you've heard you have a strong basis, other types of signs, a lot of circumstantial evidence. So if you add it all up, the other evidence really makes it seem like what you've heard was true. So while a parent is permitted to warn, it's like this. While a parent is permitted to warn his child to avoid bad company, even without such evidence, he may do so with greater conviction when his suspicions are supported by strong evidence. So this is an example they give, where anyway, we've discussed earlier at the end of Klal Daled that one is allowed to speak Lashon Hara l'toeles to help his children, to help his students, to help his friends. That we discussed near the end of Klal Daled. That's fundamentally mutar. But here, when you also have dvarim hanikarim, so then you can say it even more strongly, because you can mamish be convinced that it's really true with the dvarim hanikarim. So this is a halacha dvarim hanikarim, and we have to be very careful how far to apply it. This idea of recognizable signs. An example, and a good example, is where it's toelis anyway. Fundamentally, it's mutar even without the dvarim hanikarim. The dvarim hanikarim make it more mutar in a sense, and stronger with more conviction. Now, what is the source of this idea of Dvarim Hanikarim. It's a very interesting topic. Where does this come from? So the Chafetz Chaim here has a long footnote where he quotes the Gemara. It's based on a Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Nun Vav on Amud Aleph and Beis, and this Gemara is dealing with the story in Tanakh, with the episode in Tanakh with David and Mephibosheth and Siva. So basically, just a brief recap. Back in Shmuel Beis, so David was running away from Avshalom, and he was trying to find any descendants from Shaul. So David asked Siva, who was the Eved of Mephibosheth, "Where's Mephibosheth?" He didn't know. He didn't know. You want to know where he was? So Siva answered that Mephibosheth was against